Thank you for joining us as we start our back to school sessions of the ALN Thursday at 3 web discussion program. We're coming off of our summer break with a very exciting discussion with Lin McNaughton, who's Director of Research and Innovation at the U.S. Green Building Council. And in that role, she is running the U.S. Green Building Summit titled Building Intelligence in the Age of AI, which we'll be talking about, but we'll be talking about a lot more because asset management was preceded by green building. Green building is all about asset management. We'll get into that later. But before we get started with Eve, just want to thank our patron members, Kahua, Onuma Inc., ABS Quality Evaluations, and all of our organizational members. They allow us and inspire us to bring programs like this. Kimono Numa and Skycentric's president, Tristan DeFrondeville, are the ones who are driving the discussions with the U.S. Green Building Council. And next week, ALN Thursday at 3 will feature Rich Culbertson, who has been really into reducing fraud, waste, and abuse with asset leadership. And he is on fire about a few things that are happening with the federal government, some of which there have been changes made because of his recommendations on behalf of the ALN. So very interesting next week. And then I say it's back to school time because we've got an embarrassment of riches of events coming up. Values and benefits from asset management, which we do quarterly with the Asset Management Council in Australia. This next issue will be featuring some of the presentations that were listed in the summit we had in April in DC. And so if you missed that, then you can catch what the Army Corps of Engineers can say and what DC government is saying. They're both return presenters to the value and benefits from asset management. So we'll actually get some incremental understanding of how they're improving. And it's really generous of these organizations to share their challenges and successes. Then we get into the overabundance of riches related to the building intelligence in the age of AI. I think I'm going to hold off on this as we bring Eve in. Let's get to know Eve, and then we'll talk more about the summit. And how you doing today, Eve?
Hi, everyone. I'm doing well and very nice to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
And where is here? Where are you sitting right now?
I am in North Hollywood,
North
Southern
Hollywood?
California. Yes,
Okay.
but here meaning the ASA Leadership Network with all the folks on a call.
We appreciate that too, but it's good to know. I'm in Chicago. We're having actually a really good day today. Is it too hot down there, or how is it going?
No, it's beautiful weather. We've been
Excellent.
lucky to have a beautiful summer down here. So,
Well, that's nice. So I really love that your PhD in architecture technology. Can you tell us about that? It seems to perfectly, suit you for the job that you have now.
it's a very interesting story. When I grew up, I never thought I will be sitting here. Part of the innovation and research team was US Green Building Council, and I thought I would be a dancer, dance somewhere. And along the way, the passion towards sustainable built environment led me through the study of civil engineering and building science and architecture. But architecture is not specifically for design architecture, but more on the technology, how to use technology to leverage that to support design decision making. And that's led to my PhD study. But that then was kind of forced to select a specific topics. But my passion is really to the overall built-in environment, connect with GIS and BIM connection. That's when I start to know Kimon. He was our constant speakers back then that I was inviting to educate us about BIM. And then that was also my very first exposure to BIM building information model, if you're not familiar with that. And during my PhD, to narrow down my research, I was wondering there are so many different tools that even nowadays with the AI application, there's even more tools out there can support, say, simulation of the building performance and simulation, all kinds of things. But how come it's not very on time or in time for the designer to make decision making accordingly? Because decision making is such a complex problem. And for my PhD, I just narrowed down activity to at the early stage of the design and what kind of information needed, what kind of timing speed is needed for a designer to make design decision. So back then, I start with it's called multidisciplinary design optimization. If you are familiar with the platform developed by Autodesk, they are part of the research sponsor of my PhD. So it's also kind of precursor of certainly right now called generative design.
Yeah.
So generative design is that you can use parameter to design different scenario, and then you can iterate through so many different design decisions if you set the boundary correct. So you can breed the different building options, and then I was using genetic algorithm to select the best compromise. So they call the optimization actually is the best compromise. I think if you asset world or any day-to-day decision, when we select the best decision, we always have to deal with the trade-offs, deal with what is the best compromise. So it's called optimization. So back then we used the three different objective function as the proof of concept. So when you design, you have to design aesthetically, need to understand if the building is fitting the program requirement, and then like you need to have certain space, and then also the energy performance. So then it was evolving and then see if those information can feed back into the design decision making. But even though the technology is there, what I learned is that they also change a lot of the way we design, the way we define the problem, and the way we define who is the ultimate decision maker. And then I think that similar concept, it's applicable for all kinds of things that we're evolving today, not just for the early stage design. And so that's where I am. And then, so that's kind of part of my PhD journey. And then that led me to explore more how can I use those information or knowledge to make it more applicable or more practical, but not just in the academic world.
Yes.
So that's kind of my PhD. I'm just stopping here before the
Yeah,
next
it could
stage
go.
of
Yeah,
my
that's
career.
I love the subject. I spent 2 years in architecture design where they taught us that architecture is the art of problem solving. So
Mhm.
you are into that part of the art of architecture and applying it to anything that humans can build. So
Yep,
yeah,
you can summarize like that, yes.
yeah. And so the reason we're together and talking is we've been doing some AI work together, promoting some concepts, and you have in the Green Build Conference, October 23 through the 20, no, October 20th through the 23rd, you have a summit. You want to tell us about say the title. It's just like
Yeah,
right out of my head.
it's a green bill. So if you haven't participated green bill, it's like annually the conventions or conferences that originally led by US Green Building Council, but we've sold the event, so now currently managed by Informa. But we're trying to manage this event together, all the stakeholders within the green building areas to have the opportunity for all the technology or green green technology vendors to showcase their products. So there's a conventions, but also we have educational sessions throughout the conferences, ranging from the not just understand our product like LEED certifications, meaning how we measure the impact or measure the performance, all the way down to the practical application, how to make those real. So it's a main stakeholders are architect, contractors, engineers, and then also owners. And for these 2 years, we start to have focused technology tracked before the conferences start, and focus on not just technology, but also because the artificial intelligence has uh, and increasingly used among different stage of the life cycle. And then it's a very as catalyst to improve the building performance, but also comes with impact. And as if you're aware that the use of AI, not just for the built environment, it's for day-to-day life, change our workforce, change how we work, similar to how my experience during the PhD cycle, life stages that a lot of way we work need to be changed and how we work more effectively and then how we concern and then how can also the impact, right? While we are starting with the intent to improve building performance and then we think, oh, it can make the simulation run faster. It can calculate a predictive analysis, but the background hidden impact of those technology consume the energy behind it, the water behind it, impact on the infrastructure behind it, also the concern about the data privacy and then concern about the liability and then or can we trust the data output? And then there are so many relative and issues behind it. So by this opportunity, I get to curate AI Summit with Mike and Kimon's help this year that we're trying to bring the most relevant topics to the communities to talk about high level and what other solution, what are the next step, and then what are the best actions moving forward. So hopefully can see all of you there. But that's one of my many of work, and then I would love
Okay,
to talk
so
more.
so let's focus on, all right. So I was going to talk about all the other things that are coming up, and I realized no. Let's first talk about how what you just said connects so directly to asset management and asset leadership that we're really enjoying this building relationship that we have. And you were talking about continually improving. That's one of the tenets of asset management and measurements. It's, you've got to say what you want to measure. All of these things need to be in place. And just like you were saying about the generative design work you're doing, AI requires that human input.
Yeah.
Now I remember the title, Building Intelligence in the Age of AI. And that's such a perfectly titled
Mhm.
event because it takes the emphasis away from the AI. It's about how we need to be building this intelligence. And by the way, AI is going to help us, but only once we apply the governance of our mission. What's the purpose of these assets? How should they be performing? Well, are the measurements good or bad? And that's asset management. And you're saying the exact same thing. So I think green was asset management before asset management, basically.
Yeah, well, I think we just add an adjective to make sure how we can more efficiently, more sustainably to manage asset. We can say that's the good asset management. You put a label on it. Because it doesn't matter if you're green or not, you need to manage at some point.
Yes.
You don't do anything, it's type of management as well. But it's just how you approach to make the whole building more comfortable, more profitable, and then for the whole environment. So I know, Mike, you brought up a lot of points, but I think it's worthwhile to kind of take back to some of my early career, like I said,
Okay.
and stop PhD. It's my practical world, expose myself to support different stakeholders in the AEC industry with helping with design, like LEED certifications to get the LEED gather the information, and then how to make sure design is sustainable and then what kind of information need to input, then help to put those information into the digital documentation. So make sure it construct as it designed it.
Yes.
Then later on, my previous job before joining the USGBC actually was asset enterprise asset management team. And then one of our clients as Port Authority. And then I down to the nitty-gritty to
Oh, which Port
understand how
Authority?
mess New York, New Jersey Port Authority.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we actually down to the nitty-gritty about how messy the mess asset management can be. It's down to the papers, down to the Excel sheets, because we need to label. So, New York have bridges. Every single bridges, nuts and bolts are a part of the asset. And then
Yeah.
so we need to build that into the maximum system. That's what they're using. And then so how to tag the asset and how to make sure they also have a guarantee warranty. So like that's where I know that it's managed and then it's not easy. And then and then also my previous job as a enterprise asset manager, trying to link how can we make sure this asset has its sustainability performance data associated with it. So I know if it's something that if it's performed well, and then I know Kimo has been saying that along the way about during his presentation, how to preserve those intelligent data. And then I love that piece because just echo to what Mike just said. And then it's an interesting story that my personal life as well. So now you can see every day we have a new models coming and Cloud Coworks or ChatGPT are always competing with the new models and then who can do better things? How can you create a separate brand? So my husband is in that mode. So, oh my God, I want to create my second brand. And he just keep watching different videos. Like, how can I make it? And then I was just sitting there. So, well, you can create a second brand. It's just like we want the intelligent. It's super intelligent for a certain way, but then without you really identify what you want and then specify what you want it to do, that's the intelligence you need to provide that
Mhm.
it will never act as it is. So it's not like AI can do all the things. And I think that's where the human part that we need to be really guardrail that information, that the intelligence how we still need to keep that piece. And then once we understand, organize those information, then the AI can become useful. So I think let's go back to the foundational. How can we preserve those performance criteria and then inform the system? And if those criteria are lost during the transactions, then that's an extra effort then to do that. So if I answer your questions, I know I might
Yeah.
have lost.
In my personal life, when I tell people about what I'm doing with you and others, fear that AI will take over on its own always comes out. And one of the things that I'm happiest about what we're doing is we're very quickly showing a global building industry that that's not the case, that the AI will do what you instruct it to do. And if you instruct it to stop, if it gets to a certain point, then it will stop. That's, a lot of the fears are mythical. There are fears. And what you had said about the impact of a building on the infrastructure is my biggest fear. And we've got to start calculating what those buildings mean to the water and energy infrastructure. And I'm so happy to be working with Tristan, who has that background to be able to, our next step is to take what we're doing for the PAE building to the utilities and start showing those capabilities to the utilities to monitor their assets better also. So it's incredible how much overlap there is. And um, I do want to go to the website for the um, summit. So give me 1 second. If you want to talk a little bit about the activities in the summit while I call this up, go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm happy that before the website coming up, I think kind of going back to your earlier questions that the overlapping between asset management and how to make sure that performance criteria carry through. And then I think that's still an issue that while I was as a consultant. And then I think that's often misinformation that it's not carried through. And then we would love to find a way, and maybe that's where that information transfer is not lost. So I think that's perfectly tied with what we are presenting during the summit, and then see what's the best approach and then suggest the approach to address that. But before that, I think I would like to highlight also the framing of the building intelligence and the edge of AI, also from USGBC standpoints. We are not looking at one aspect of how AI can support improve the performance criteria, but we want to look holistically every application that when we are using it, that what are the impact in terms of environmental impact, social impact, or economic impact, right? Not just the direct influence on the performance, for example, can improve the energy performance, but what's the technology hidden impact of using the information? And also a lot of impact that we forgot that the level of effort that we waste on the foundational requirement are the data. And then that's where the foundational, how we can minimize those energy consumption by have the clean data set with a standard set up front. And then so I think that's where one of the key themes that's stitched through the whole day. Then we'll also make sure every life stages of the project being covered, including the design stage, the construction stage, what a caveat, or also some new technology that included and what are the concerns, and then what can be addressed, the most up-to-date information from the practitioners, bring some use cases. So we will love to bring you that to the discussion as well. And lastly, but not least, is that we would love to have some action specifically from the owner's perspective, because usually we know owners are the one who drive the design decision or construction decision, and then requirement. And then if certain ask was actually right from the beginning, then designers, contractors, and engineer can deliver follow suit. So I think, and also some of the things that owner might need to be educated, what need to ask for. So we do think that closing forum will bring home to what's the next best step for the industry. So that's kind of highlight of the day. And then it's kind of a journey that we would like to bring something useful for every participant. Yeah.
And the great thing about the summit is it has involvement from owners. Massport, the Boston ports, their airport and their harbors will be represented, and Princeton facility asset manager will be there. So, and we'll probably pick up a couple other owners along the way, but it's very well represented by real world professionals. And then, as we are wont to do, we kind of build up ahead of time because it's a lot in one day to get your mind around. So there's a couple of efforts going on at the same time. So now let me share that. And it starts off really quick. Next Friday, there's going to be Become the Building, how to embed your expertise in these early designs and have them last through the whole process. There's a series of 3 of those. Kimono Numa will be guiding those, and that's set up for people who are going to be there in person on the 20th. That's one of the session, but then the U.S. Green Building Council is also doing web programs to inform people how to participate to the full extent. And the first one of those is on August 26th. And there will be another one in September. It's too much information, so I'm just ending with the things that are happening still just in August. but September is full and there'll be activities in October also. So then the ALN Thursday at 3 on August 27th will include speakers who spoke at a U.S. Green Building Council summer cohort. And it was really informative. It laid the groundwork for how trust can be established in these digital first approach to project management and asset management. And then that is combined with the AI work that's being done for the PAE building that ALN members are working on as a publicly available demonstration of capability, which will be part of the featured presentation for the summit also. It's a lot, so everyone is going to have a chance to be able to catch something. Most of it will be recorded and publicly available. And so if you don't make one of the events, and I'm very happy people want to do 90-minute programs. This is back to school time. It's time to roll up sleeves. It's time to dedicate a portion of your brain to new and maybe challenging approaches. But we have the tools and processes now to do things that we have never been able to do before. So let's roll up the sleeves and get some of that done. And one of the things that I'm so happy about our relationship with the U.S. Green Building Council is that you are actually a global organization. And we need to spread this best practice information as fast as we can around the whole world. And it's a pleasure to be working with you. And I hope we're able to formalize our relationship and build it going forward. So Eve, thank you so much for taking time to talk with us. Would you like to close with any statements or
Yes,
anything?
yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. And then I didn't get to speak to any of the participants. So feel free, you can find me on LinkedIn or through my Gerke Moans. We do love to see how can we support your work better. I know your Green Building Council, we have focused on certification in terms of performance pathway, but we also want to provide the means and methods that can help you there. So we are happy to hear what your thoughts if you're familiar with our work, and then hope to see you in one of the venues, and then happy to connect.
Well, thank you. It's been very nice working with you, and I look forward to more collaborative, mutually benefit efforts. Bye for now. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.